We all realize everyone is different in their own way. All of the experiences and choices we've made shape and form the person we are today. We interpret things differently and therefore experience things differently. It's not far off to say that how you view the world determines how you react in it. In the previous video I said that you know yourself better than anyone, but what I should have said was you should know yourself better than anyone. More often than not, you'll find you do things you aren't aware of. The key to solving your own problems is to know why you have the problems to begin with. So the question is, do you actually know who you are as a person? Have you ever reflected on the choices you've made and why you made them? And if you've asked yourself these questions before and already know the answers, then you have to ask yourself, are you where you want to be? And if you're not, but you know the answers, then why aren't you? It's not as simple as knowing the answer because the problem is more complicated than that. You may know the answer, but not understand it. You can know that by doing nothing, nothing will happen, but not why you do nothing instead of something. You'll do things you know are self-destructive and do them repeatedly and not understand why you do them. When you understand why you do them, you'll be able to challenge and confront them. One part of the problem is recognizing when you're hindering yourself. Let's say you want to be successful in the sense that you have a good job with good pay. If you believe that good things happen only to those who are gifted enough to receive them, then you'll never make an effort to try harder at anything. If you believe talent is gifted and not earned, you'll probably mope around and complain about how good other people have it instead of trying to get it yourself. There are two common ways you can hinder yourself, either by beliefs or bad habits. The problem with bad habits is they are in fact habits, and we are habitual creatures. A habit is instilled in our brain and becomes a part of who we are. It's hard to break something so ingrained unless we acknowledge it and recognize why we do it. I remember something a professor once told the class. It was kind of his mantra. He had put it into his book. And he said, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always gotten. So ask yourself, what can I change in my life? What can I incorporate in the things I do that will get me where I want to be? And what can I do differently if that doesn't work? There are beliefs that shape and take form based on past knowledge or experience. The worst of it probably comes from other people in your life who tried something but failed miserably, gave up, and then convinced you it was a foolish dream. We learn from other people just as we learn from experiences. So when someone close to us tells us something, it becomes a part of our own thoughts and beliefs. There are times when we never experienced what someone told us, but because we believe what they told us, because we trust what they told us, we find and look for confirmation. In bad case examples, you reach a point where regardless of how unrelated something is to your belief, the natural human response is to look for patterns. And you find patterns. Patterns that don't exist and only make sense to you. The official term is confirmation bias, but there's more to it than that. The world will literally shape itself around whatever you believe to be true. This might sound like rubbish at first. Maybe I sound like I'm trying to convince you that there is a magical wonderland out there, but it's true. Not the wonderland part, but the fact that if you actually, truly believe there is a magical wonderland out there, you will convince yourself with anything you can find to confirm and reinforce that belief. You will make excuses and find explanations that only make sense to you. If tomorrow you wake up and tell yourself this day will be the best day ever, that day will be the best day ever. If the next day you do the same thing, you'll get the same result. And if you keep doing it long enough, it'll naturally become a part of you. Again, we are habitual creatures. We naturally mold into what our habits are. There's been a lot of research into neuroscience that suggests the brain has plasticity. It can change. You can change. The only thing that is stopping you is the belief of whether or not you can do it. It's beliefs that make or break us and habits that keep us where we are. Because your beliefs are so deeply rooted in what you see and hear, it's important that you challenge those beliefs in order to hear and see different things. If you hate yourself, it's because you're doing things you know are detrimental, but doing them anyway. You're telling yourself things that reinforce that negative behavior. If you believe you're worthless, then you're worthless, and everything you do will become worthless. However, if you believe you have value, then you become valuable, and everything you do will be purposeful. If you're unsatisfied of where you're at in life, it's because you've made an expectation for yourself and failed to achieve it. No one is dissatisfied when working toward a goal. They're dissatisfied when they give up and decide the goal is out of reach. Motivate yourself by doing things you know will get you where you want to be, and pay attention to the results, no matter how small they are. Ask other people if you aren't sure. You are more likely to give in to quick results than results you have to work hard to get. It's the reason you eat sweets, the reason you gamble, the reason you play video games, the reason you smoke or do drugs. You like instant gratification, and the fact is you hate working toward anything. You're lazy and unmotivated because when you try new things, you expect instant results. You haven't learned to set goals and how to reach them. You haven't learned how not to give up. You haven't learned the most important thing you should have. You're going to fall down every single time. You're going to fail every single time. But you're going to start loving it. You're going to start learning from it. You're going to start wanting to fail because you realize you learn more from it than by doing nothing. You reach a point when you don't see failure as failure, but as a learning opportunity, and everyone else recognizes and respects your potential. You become a threat. And that's scary but also rewarding because people respect and look up to intimidating people. And that's exactly what you'll become. You control how you think. You control how you see things. You control the world around you. You just haven't realized it yet. And once you do, good things will happen to you. Just remember, things only come easy to those who work hard to make them easy. Keep that in mind, and you can take on anything you set your mind to.